Hola. Today we're going to talk about prepositions of location. Um, when you're going to talk about location, you're going to use the verb estar. Estar means to be, and it could be translated is or are. So when you say the phone is on the desk, you're going to use this verb estar or one of its forms. So hopefully you have your vocab page out. It's the one that's titled Unidad dos en la clase, and you should have already filled in the left-hand column with en la clase and los lugares, places in the school. So now at the bottom of the right-hand column, you'll see a chart that looks like this, and it has the verb estar, which means to be. Estar, remember, the one that ends in an R is an infinitive form. And we'll talk more about that later in this unit. Right now, I want you to complete this chart. If your subject is yo, you will want to change the verb form to estoy. If you want to say you are, informal, tú, you're going to say tú estás. The verb form, if you want to say usted, él, or ella, is going to be está. Nosotros estamos. Ustedes están, ellos están, ellas están. Again, this is the word that you want to use when you're talking about where something is or where some things are. This is the verb estar, and it's used for location. All of these prepositions are prepositions of location. Many of these expressions also include the word they. If they is followed by el, it contracts to del. We do this in English. For example, do not contracts to don't. In English, you don't have to do that contraction, but in Spanish, you're required whenever they is followed by el, the word that means da, you must contract it. So it becomes del. And you'll see this as we go along. So de plus el equals del all the time. So let's start with one of my favorite characters, Groot. Groot está a la derecha del escritorio. A la derecha de. Notice that when you said de and el escritorio, that it contracted to del. So to say to the right of something, you say a la derecha de. A la derecha de. Y ahora, now, Groot está a la izquierda del escritorio. Groot está a la izquierda del escritorio. Try that word again. Izquierda. Izquierda. And now, Groot está entre la silla y el escritorio. Groot está entre la silla y el escritorio. Between. Mira. Groot está cerca de la silla. Cerca de la silla. Near or near to the chair. Cerca de. Y ahora, Groot está lejos de la silla. Lejos de la silla. He's far from the chair. Lejos de la silla. Groot está sobre el escritorio. Sobre el escritorio. On top of. He's on top of the desk. Sobre el escritorio. Groot está encima del escritorio. Encima del escritorio. He's above the desk. Encima de. Groot está debajo del escritorio. Debajo de. He's under. Groot está debajo del escritorio. Groot está delante del escritorio. Delante de, in front of the desk. Groot está delante del escritorio. Groot está detrás del escritorio. Detrás del escritorio. He's behind. Groot está detrás del escritorio. Rocket está aquí y Groot está allí or allá. Aquí, here, allí or allá, there. They is the word that's translated of or from. In this context, most of the time it's translated of in front of. But you might remember using they when you talked about de donde eres, soy de Georgia. So it can also be translated from. In the context we're using it today, remember that if de is followed by el, it will become del. It is a must contraction. You have to do that contraction. Another word that you'll use when you talk about location is en, and in English or Spanish is en. In English, it's in or on. Depending on the context, we can translate it either way. So, ahora, now, let's do some práctica. Práctica. ¿Dónde está Groot? Where is Groot? ¿Dónde está Groot? Ah, Groot está entre las sillas. Entre las sillas. ¿Dónde está Groot? ¿Dónde está Groot? Oh, Groot está detrás de la silla. Detrás de la silla. ¿Dónde está Groot? ¿Dónde está Groot? Ah, Groot está lejos de la silla. Lejos de la silla. ¿Dónde está Groot? ¿Dónde está Groot? Groot está detrás del escritorio. Detrás del escritorio. Did you notice how the de and the el contracted to del? Detrás del escritorio. Just an FYI, if it's la silla, de and la do not contract. ¿Dónde está Groot? Ah, Groot está encima del escritorio. Or you could say sobre el escritorio. Sometimes people use encima and sobre as synonyms, so you could use either. ¿Dónde está Groot? ¿Dónde está Groot? Groot está a la izquierda del escritorio. He's to the left of the desk. Groot está a la izquierda del escritorio. ¿Dónde está Groot? Groot está a la derecha del escritorio. A la derecha del escritorio. ¿Dónde está Groot? Groot está sobre o encima del escritorio. You can use both of those either way, sobre or encima. So here's the structure, how you make a sentence to show the location. You're going to start with an article and a noun, or just a noun. In this case, since it's a name, it's just Groot with no article, like the word the. Then you're going to use a form of the verb to be, is or are, singular or plural. So for Groot, we'll say está, Groot está. Then your preposition, in this example, he's to the right of the chair, a la derecha de, and then you use another article and noun, la silla, la silla. Let's look at another example. The article or noun in this case is going to be Groot again. Groot está. Your preposition in this case would be entre. And then you can finish it up with las sillas because he's between two chairs, right? The chairs, plural, las sillas. Groot está, preposition, detrás de, because he's behind, el escritorio. And in this case, we have de and el, so we're going to have to contract them, and it will become detrás del escritorio. Groot está detrás del escritorio. Okay, well, that's all I have about prepositions of location for today. Go back through this. If you're unsure, there will be questions on your next quiz over prepositions, so make sure you understand each of them and could use them if you needed to. Adios.